Lively getting the ultra princess celebrity treatment. What is going on with this case? We are all going to be talking about It Ends With Us, even though there are tons of other things that I want to talk about that was on the docket. Because some things are going on and we are going to get right into it. So if you're ready, I'm ready. Grab your emotional support lip gloss because I have a few things to say, and then we're going to get into the court dockets. You are in frame with Mandy Magnan. And, before we just get into all of it, I just want to say thank you. Sorry, I feel like I just need to have my hair up today because it is hotter than a mother. You hear me? But I just want to say thank you to everyone that reached out to me. I know I wasn't here on Friday, and I think there's just a little bit of a story time that I want to get into before we get into all of that. So if you would allow me a few minutes and some grace to explain it, but I will do it with some visuals. So hopefully it just kind of paints a good story, and I just want to be as open and transparent with all of you as possible. I try to empower and inspire as much as I can, as well as, dive into the It Ends With Us and some pop culture and movies and stuff like that. So I just don't think that it would be appropriate, and I just want to explain where I was kind of on Friday and what's been going on with me this weekend. What is this hair just sticking out? Okay. So I left y'all on Thursday with the Vin Diesel thing. I mean, Blake Lively putting in the deposition that happened between Brian Freeman and his client Vin Diesel into the court of It Ends With Us is just so slimy. And then, of course, on Fridays, which is one of my favorite days, I like to come on, read a lot of your comments from the week, and be here. So on Thursday, when I left y'all, I went to go live my best life, even though I had just experienced a horrible fall that I'm still healing from. My backside and my legs are just OMG. But I left there and I had my hometown friend come pick me up. We went to a cottage for the whole day, the whole night. It was amazing. We went boating. And then I told y'all that fall wasn't going to keep me from being on a boat. And also I went tubing. Probably should have stopped it there because boating was enough, but then tubing, and I got flung off a tube a gazillion times. Well, 6, but 6 was enough, okay? But it was so fun. No internet, no phone, no Blake Lively, which was the best, and we had such an amazing day. And then Friday, woke up, hung out for a bit, watched the sun over the water. It was so beautiful. And then we went four-wheeling, a long four-wheeler ride. I wasn't thinking about anything except just having the best time and enjoying it. And I remember even when I was on the tube, I had caught myself laughing literally like a baby. I was just I can't even repeat it, but it's kind of what I do when I'm on roller coasters too. And that I just knew that I was just in peace and letting it all go. And, it was just so fun. So we get back from four-wheeling and pack up the cottage and stuff. And I head back into town, and I'm thinking the whole time, okay, well, when I get back to town, shower, get ready, look at what happened. Literally only in less than 24 hours. And then I was going to come on, right? Well, I got back to my mama's house, and I go on my social media, and I'm getting all of these messages from people being like, have you been subpoenaed? Have you been subpoenaed? 16 creators have been subpoenaed. We're trying to figure it out. We've only found 10. And I'm thinking subpoena, what is going on? Right? I hadn't been gone that long. Okay? I haven't been gone that long. So I didn't really know what was going on. I just kept getting messages have you been subpoenaed? Have you been subpoenaed? And I had already known because earlier in the week, the TMZ article came out, and then Candace Owen has said that she got subpoenaed and read her subpoena live. And so I was like, well, what? What's it? If it's coming in the mail, I'm not home, right? They can't serve me. I'm all the way up in the middle of nowhere in South Porcupine, Ontario. So, they're not going to find me up here. Of course, maybe wait till I get back to Toronto. So then I go onto YouTube to try to see try to get some news, and literally every thumbnail thumbnail was about these subpoenaing content creators, and I watched a few videos, and every video was so different. There were so many opinions coming out and so much misinformation, and I would watch one video and they would say one thing and then watch another video, and it was just like so much. So then I'm like checking my email. I didn't get a subpoena through my Google, and then so I was kind of like waiting, like what is going to happen, and then I just felt so overwhelmed, honestly, and things were moving so quickly that I didn't know what to do, and I didn't want to. I'm not one that has to like be the first or like breaking news or like hop on, and like I didn't want to spread even more fear or misinformation or anything out there. So I was like gonna take a few hours and then come on maybe like a little bit at night once I got more information, or once I was like actually sure that I wasn't getting subpoenaed. And then literally my body just like shut down. My emotional system was so deregulated, which happens to me usually when I have to leave my mom and my hometown. And oh gosh. Oh, I'm so sorry. I had like the most amazing week. And whenever I have to leave, you know, it's very hard. And it gets harder almost every single time. Please give me 1 second. Wow, okay, that came from nowhere, but not really, because anyway, we're gonna go through it. So then, I was just, my body literally shut down, and it was a lot of emotions from, you know, I had such an amazing week, but there was a lot happening between also making, you know, the YouTube videos here and like being with my family, and I got to see my brother and my nephew and, you know, one of my dearest friends of 20 years and spend time with him, and my mom. And then also I had that big fall, and I never really took the time to like process that. So on Friday, literally, I just like shut down, and I couldn't really do anything, to be honest. I just kind of like hung out, watched movies, and didn't do much. I mean, I had to leave at like 6 a.m. the next morning. So, I mean, I couldn't even like hang out with my fam, you know. I just went into bed and just like lied there, and then like I was in so much pain, which was weird because I had fallen like a couple days before that. But anyway, so then Saturday I fly back to the city. It's like my flight was super early, like 7 a.m. Get back to the city, and, you know, got home, and it's always so weird coming back to a city of like millions and millions of people, and it just felt like the only person or thing that like, you know, really embraced my homecoming or like loved me coming back was like my housemate's dog, who I guess like was super emotional while I was gone and like stopped eating, and like we're besties, okay? So that was really hard. So I kind of just hung out with her, unpacked, got myself together, and then I had to work that day. So then I was like, okay, let me just do everything Sunday, right? Like, okay, I missed Friday. I'm like trying not to beat myself up about it. So I was like, Saturday, I got to go to work. What am I supposed to do? Let me do all of this on Sunday. Well, then yesterday I woke up and I was done. I mean, I had nothing left, and I think that it would have been very disingenuous and unfair to you as well as to me to show up here like kind of empty. And I just spent the entire day. I binge watched the new Squid Game season, watched the Love Island finale. Yay, am I a papaya? And literally snacked more than snacking. Like I was a professional snacker yesterday. And yeah, just kind of chilled out. Didn't talk to nobody. Didn't go on social media. Didn't reply to emails. Like literally pump the brakes, time out. I'm feeling empty and I need to refill my cup. And that's what I did all day. And now I am here, and I woke up this morning and I feel so much better. So I always preach, like, when you're off or when you're not feeling the best or when your cup isn't full, you are at no service to anyone around you without being at 100%. So I needed to, like, step back. I was feeling very overwhelmed. I knew I was, like, sad. And, I just needed to take time for me. And then also Sunday, like yesterday, I woke up and I was still like, okay, well, even if I don't feel like getting ready or do my hair and makeup, that's fine, because I'm totally comfortable presenting myself to you all the way I am and the way I choose to show up that day. So that was fine. But then I go onto TikTok real quick. And this is where I decided, like, no phones, because if I would have showed up here yesterday, I probably would have. I was pretty angry. And that's what I think we're going to segue into, because that's where it's going. But I was pretty angry yesterday morning. I opened my phone and I see a video of Not Actually Golden. She pops up on my FYP every time. I have been following her since the beginning of her TikTok journey. She is amazing. I mean, the way she has helped me, not only in the case of It Ends With Us, but like with law in general and harassment cases. I mean, some of her advice has like actually helped me in my own case and some things that I was going through. And so I just have like a very special place for her in my heart, because she has shared so much information that has actually helped me and benefited me in real life off of social media. So I see her make a video, and not without a crystal ball, doxing that woman or attempting to. And now this is what I have to say, because if I would have come on here yesterday, I would have not been so kind enough to take the time to find the words. But this is absolutely outrageous. I don't know if y'all know about Katie Joy and Without a Crystal Ball, and I'm not here to call anyone out, but I am here to defend an amazing creator who is doing such good work, and that is Not Actually Golden. This is a pattern for Without a Crystal Ball to call out other creators, to bully them, and now to go as far as to dox them. Not Actually Golden has made it very clear that she wants to keep a lot of her life private, and she only shares with us what she wants to share, and she has every right to do that. So she made a video, Not Actually Golden, talking about all of these subpoenas going on, and actually the video was on the side of the creators. But in that video, she said one little sentence about Without a Crystal Ball, saying, I'm not going to trust what she says. She's not a reliable source, but for me and in the law, And she goes on to how this is an infringement on First Amendment rights and journalist rights and stuff. Well, Katie took that little sentence, and then on Saturday night, I guess on her lives or on her Instagram or however she felt, was trying to dox Not Actually Golden by finding out where she lives and where she works, and like pretty much attacking her and making videos about her, completely taking some of the videos out of context of her swearing, like Not Actually Golden swearing. And all I want to say is that if you don't know who Katie is by now, do some work. Like, just go Google it, watch a couple of videos, because this is a pattern of her bullying other creators. And if you've been following my channel, I said a few months ago about how, someone was so kind to take a clip of my video and put it on their social media, and immediately a creator came on and said, like, I don't believe her, or don't believe her, or something like that. And I just responded like, what? And she deleted her comment. I never said who it was, but it was her. It was Without a Crystal Ball. Now, I had other creators since then tell me that they're afraid of her. They don't want to say anything. They're scared of her because she will go to these lengths to bully you and dox you and attack your privacy and leak your information. And that reminds me very much of, and because I can't find any other words and don't want to use any other words, Blake Lively. She's giving very much Blake vibes. I've seen her attack other creators. I've seen her, kind of insult me and belittle me and then delete the comment for no reason. And now it's happening to Not Actually Golden. And the audacity to then post little things like, oh, we're all friends here, creators need to support each other, and then do stuff like this. Okay? Now, of course, she was very great help when it came to the Van Zandt subpoena and does amazing work. And I'm not going to take that away from her or discredit her there. But to continually, and now it's a pattern to attack other creators, is absolutely mind-boggling. And it's so hypocritical because she's literally fighting for her own privacy rights on a subpoena that she received from Blake Lively. So then you're fighting for your privacy rights, but you're going over here and trying to dox another creator who has, since day one, chose to be private, is like... So after I saw that, I was pretty angry, and I was like, let me not come on here and just say a lot of stuff out of content, like... If you don't got nothing nice to say, don't say nothing at all. You know what I mean? And yeah, when I just don't know what to do and I'm feeling overwhelmed and I'm feeling in those spaces of like bitter and angry, it's just better for me to just like sit in silence for a bit and in stillness. But what I do want to say is what Katie is doing is not okay. It's mean, it's crazy, and it's not cool, okay? And I've chosen to not follow or subscribe to her, taking a step back. And I've just watched so many deep dives now on her that I'm like, well, okay, I like to stand on the side of morality and on justice. And, I just don't like that kind of behavior. It's very mean girl and it's very Blake. But for everyone who's asked and who's messaged me, I have not been subpoenaed. I know it's weird. It's kind of super strange because there's also creators like Zach Peters hasn't been subpoenaed. Else Rich hasn't been subpoenaed. So we're like, what is going on? It seems like there's no rhyme or reason as to who is and who isn't, because there's some creators who have like less than 50 subscribers and they've been subpoenaed. There's an astrologist who got subpoenaed with only 238 subscribers who does astrology work, and she made a video about Blake and her deposition aligning with the stars and universe or whatever, and she got subpoenaed. So I don't know. I've checked all my email like every day, like deep dive my email. Nothing's there. So, and I'm good. I'm okay. I'm okay being left out of this one. Not in the club. Who knows if it's going to come, if there's an extension of the time. But I'm okay. I'm okay. But also, if I did get subpoenaed, I have nothing to hide. And like I tell Blake all the time, when you have nothing to hide, show them. Show them. Show your hand. So you want to subpoena me, go for it. You're not going to find any trail back to Wayfarer or Brian Friedman or any of the people. It's absolutely nuts. And like the fact that all of these subpoenas are actually going out and now they do seem legit. At first I like, was it a phishing? Was it this? Was it this? Was it real? Who knows? But now that we know that Google has responded and they are real, Blake, what are you doing? This is mayhem. This is loony bins. This is cray-cray, okay? Financial information? What? You can't get people's sources. And this is what I think is just so wild, because free speech, yeah, babes? Free speech. Didn't your husband, Leslie Sloan, and the New York Times all get off on like the same things of saying whatever they want to say? Didn't the New York Times get off because they're journalists? Hello, what do you think? What do you think? It's just the audacity. It's hypocritical, and it's absolutely, absolutely nuts. But anyway, that's my whole story. That's where I've been. I've just taken up so much of your time. So let's really just get into what's happening, because wow, surprise, surprise. Oh my gosh. I guess no one's going to be surprised at this point. Judge Lyman has granted Blake Lively a protective order. Yeah. Yeah. She filed a protective order after releasing all of the information. Yeah. And then all of these lawyers said that like mostly 100% of the time, she wouldn't get what she's asking for. Yeah, well, her celebrity status is just, she can get whatever she wants, apparently, and that's what we're all going to get into right now. And just before we get started, I do want to say, I'm not trying to obviously call Without a Crystal Ball out. I think she does great work. I just think that we all need to support each other, and this is definitely a pattern. And even when it happened to me and she wrote those comments, and other creators, we all talked, and they were, saying they were scared of her. They didn't want to say anything. They felt silenced, or they would be bullied or attacked if they did. And then I got kind of scared at the same time, and I was like, well, sheesh, I'm not going to say anything either then. But you know what? I'm not scared anymore. If I can go up against Blake Lively and Ryan Reynolds, I can go up against Without a Crystal Ball. I think what we do need is to be more kind to each other, not doxing each other and trying to put out private information about each other. I think that that is absolutely absurd. There's no room for it. And if we are here and you say that you're team Justin or you're on the team Justice, then the Wayfair people and Justin Baldoni, I know 100%, not because they told me, I don't talk to them, I don't work for them, just knowing who they are, wouldn't want that kind of behavior and wouldn't want to be associated with people who are actively attacking other people. And also woman to woman attack, come on, let's do better. Let's be better than the monsters that we're trying to fight. Okay. That's it. Okay. So now we're in the courts, and don't worry, we're not going to go over every single thing that has happened, but you deserve to know exactly how it's happening in the court system. So here we go. It's a doozy, and we're just going to go over a few things and the latest motion because there are some things going on, okay? And I'm going to make it hopefully all come full circle on why I think it's cuckoo bananas. So we left here where it says on July 9th, docket 402, and that was the declaration of Kristen E. Bender, who is one of the lawyers for Blake Lively, and she is the one that attached the Exhibit B, which is the diesel litigation materials. Now, the Wayfair people haven't come back and asked for this to be removed or asked for it to be stricken from the record, which is exactly hours after Brian Freeman put the affidavit in about Tay Swizzy, if you remember, about how he was, subpoenaing Venable, their law firm, because of the communications and on belief and information that he knew that all of this shadiness was going on with Tay Swizzy. Blake Lively's team within hours filed a motion for that to get stricken. They haven't done anything. They've also not asked to be dismissed, or they just want this to go to trial, babes, yesterday. So the judge came back and he said that any of the issues happening right now with deficiencies of the, all of the documents that shouldn't be prepared, like Lively saying she didn't get anything. The Wayfair people are we didn't get anything, da-da-da-da. He's I need to know by July 11th, by 5 p.m., why this shouldn't be completed and why, my schedule that I set forth shouldn't be completed. Why that's not kind of good enough. You know what I'm saying? Then, of course, the Wayfair people came back and they were everything is Gucci. And we state that the Wayfair parties have no objection to the contemplated order. Great, perfect. Yeah, because it makes sense. He gave you an extension on what you need an extension from. That's great. And then the Lively people came back, and this one just gave me a little bit of a chuckle because it's kind of like when you're explaining yourself to someone and they're you're apologizing, for example, but then you're but, or so she's no, everything's fine. We totally agree, except, so I was so then you don't totally agree. And it's to be noted that Stephanie motherfucking Jones came back too, and her letter was yes, we agree to everything as well, except we also want everything that Blake Lively asked for. I mean, I'm paraphrasing, but that was exactly what Steph did, which is so crazy that these two are now publicly in the courts, together as a team. That says everything I need. Okay, that's everything right there. But this was there's just a few things that I thought were kind of funny here. Like the Wayfair parties, Miss Lively generally has no objection to the contemplated order outlined by the court, but she wishes to clarify the court's July 25th date referenced in the potential forthcoming order that all document production by parties and non-parties shall be completed by July 25th. Third-party subpoenas shall require production no later than July 25th. As described below, Miss Lively is amenable to the schedule outlined by the court, including the 25th deadline, except proposes that the court make clear that the 25 July deadline is without prejudice to the issuance of additional written party discovery until August 29th and additional third-party document subpoenas until the close of fact discovery on September 30th. Girl, you just gave yourself 1 to 2 extra months. That's not at all what he said. Like, it's kind of like nutty, right? It's very strange that she wants all this extra time she's had since she filed her CRD complaint in December. Okay, so what's taking so long, you know? I think it's funny how worried and scared she is for her deposition, which she should be, but also not, because if you have the truth behind your side and you have, there's tons of witnesses, she says, other actresses, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. Let's get the show on the road. But no, not Blake Lively. She wants to wait till she has all the video footage in order to do her deposition, which is very strange because, like, you were there. Why do you need the video footage? I think she wants to study the video footage so that she can then again, one more time, reframe all of her lies that she put into the CRD complaint like she did after the dance montage came out. But the intent of this proposal was to ensure that any documents trailing behind the substantial completion deadline be fully produced in advance of depositions. This proposal would accomplish to aim the fully completely party document discovery except for any to-be issues written discovery, and also is intended, as the court acknowledged, to allow the parties to resolve document deficiencies for all such completed productions by August 1st. Miss Lively is not intended to preclude the parties from any latter, predictably limited requests for production and interrogatories to be permissible issued until August 29th. That is 30 business days prior to the close of fact discovery on September 30th, 2025. Therefore, Miss Lively submits it would be appropriate for the court so order both the July 25th and the August 29th dates laid out above to require timely production for all party document discovery issued. You're asking for too much. You have a gajillion lawyers. What do you need more time for? You've had since December. This is where it gets a little bit interesting in this one document because it's just so weird, okay? She's saying that she has more than 60 document subpoenas to date, okay? As to third-party discovery, Miss Lively respectfully submits that the court's July 25th deadline for third-party production should apply to all noticed subpoenas in order to facilitate those productions without prejudice to additional third-party document discovery through the close of fact discovery on September 30th, for which production is required 14 days after service. Miss Lively had not proposed any interim date for completion of third-party document discovery on the understanding that such discovery would be warranted and permissible until the close of fact discovery. Given the deficiencies in the Wayfair party's document productions to date, Miss Lively anticipates that depositions will yield further information critical to her claims, such as regarding vendors, digital teams, or content creators deployed by the Wayfair parties in connection with the retaliatory campaign, which in turn will warrant the issuance of third-party document subpoenas after July 25th. So she's just getting started. While Miss Lively has actively pursuing third-party discovery, Indeed has provided notice of more than 60 document subpoenas to date. She simply has not been afforded the discoverable information through documents who have concluded such third-party discovery before depositions have taken place. Alternately, to the extent that the court is nevertheless inclined to impose a July 25th as a final date for third-party discovery that precludes the issuance of additional third-party document subpoenas, essentially as of now, Miss Lively asks the court to make clear that additional third-party discovery may take place through the close of fact discovery on September 30th on a showing of good cause for that discovery. Ugh, you're exhausting. And then she does come down here, and yeah, I mean, Perez Hilton was all over this. Content creators were all over this, talking about how she does bring up Perez Hilton. And it's kind of weird because she knows his real name, but then is still subpoenaing him under his stage name. I'm not really sure how all of that works. But she does call out here Mr. Mitchell, who we've talked about before, Matthew Mitchell. They were trying to subpoena him, could not get a hold of him. They were calling. They showed up to his house. They talked to his neighbors. They did all of this stuff, could not reach this man. So then they had asked Judge Lehman if they can do it through social media. And I believe the media source that they chose was LinkedIn. The judge granted that they are able to subpoena him. Now they're saying that they were reaching out to the Wayfair Council asking if they would accept the subpoena on behalf of Mr. Mitchell. The Wayfair people were like, we're not representing him, so no. And then it turned out weeks later, they were like, you know what, we took him on as a client, but it was already too little too late. And yeah, they're just calling out some people down here and saying that Perez Hilton was taunting that he has not been served yet. And yeah, he was. And he openly says he was. And he continues to taunt you. And he lives rent-free in Blake Lively's head. That's for sure. It's just kind of funny that she was like, oh yeah, no, we agree with everything except like change it all, please. We're begging, pretty please. Judge Lyman, you know me, we're bros. I'm paying you, my husband's in your pocket. So let's go. Let's move this along. Okay, and then we have a letter to motion the seal, which we already went through, so that's fine. Seal away. Then there is a letter motion to compel Blake Lively to provide a computation of alleged damages. Yes, it turns out, Blakesky over here in the court is saying how she hasn't got all of the documents or anything from Wayfair and how everything is, missing a bunch of stuff and it's all deficient. Well, yes. Wayfair now is saying like, hold the phone, Miss Blake Lively, because you also haven't given us what we've asked for. So it goes both ways. And I know Brian Freeman is like a boss. Love that man to pieces. But you know who else is like on it? Mr. Kevin Fritz and Miss Elaine Garofalo. Because when we get into one of her snapbacks, one of her clapbacks here to the lawyers in the email thread, my gosh, I was like laughing so hard. But yes, there is a letter motion for Blake Lively to also compel documents, which she has not done yet. This was filed to Judge Lyman on July 10th, and it is to request an order compelling Blake Lively to provide within 7 days a computation of her alleged damages, the theory under which she seeks damages, and the documents supporting the computation pursuant to Rule 26A, 1A, 3B, a verified response to an interrogatory seeking a computation of each category of alleged damages, the damages interrogatory, and C, documents relating to her claims for damages, including but not limited to documents sufficient to show her net worth, such as financial statements, assets, and liabilities, the damages requests, and collectively the foregoing discovery, the damages discovery. Yeah, babe, because I remember the Wayfair people had to do it, right? They were trying to say like, I don't think this is supposed to, like, what does this have to do with that? But they had to show it, right? Because you made sure of that. So it was so crazy because your lawyers just said a few days ago, and I remember this, that you gave them everything. How was Blake Lively? She filed all of the stuff. And I was like, yeah, but she has less stuff to give, obviously. But now it turns out, babe, that was a lie too. You're just a liar, pants on fire all over here, okay? All over the place. That's it. So Miss Lively must comply with Rule 26. Yeah, duh. The Wayfair parties are also entitled to know Miss Lively's theory of damages. Yeah, definitely. You gotta prove. So first, she doesn't want to give medical records to prove all of this severe trauma. Now she doesn't want to give financial records to prove loss of income due to those stressors. Like, what did you think was going to happen? You were just going to file this thing and they were going to be like, here you go, take all of our millions of dollars. What? You have to prove your case. That's kind of how it works. Okay, that's how it works. Miss Lively was obligated by Rule 26 to disclose her damages voluntarily without awaiting a discovery request. Furthermore, even assuming Miss Lively produces documents concerning her alleged damages, which she has not done, she is not excused from her separate obligation to disclose a computation of damages. Miss Lively has not provided the Wayfair parties with a computation of her alleged damages, the theory of damages, or supporting documents. She should be compelled to do so. Miss Lively's excuse for violating Rule 26A is that an expert will calculate her purported damages on an unspecified date, but presumably prior to the October 15th, 2025 deadline for the completion of expert discovery. However, the obligation to disclose a damages computation is separate from expert discovery obligations. Yes, Miss Lively must respond to the damages interrogatory as narrowed by the Wayfair parties, is limited to requesting a computation of Miss Lively's alleged damages, which complies with Local Civil Rule 33.3a. Miss Lively refuses to respond to the damages interrogatory on the grounds that the information sought is the subject of expert discovery. However, under the Local Civil Rule, Miss Lively is obligated to respond to the damages interrogatory based upon the information presently available to her, and she can supplement her response as appropriate after expert discovery. Miss Lively must produce documents responsive to the damages request. Federal Rules of Civil Procedure 26B provides that parties may obtain discovery regarding any non-privileged matter that is relevant to any party's claim or defense. Miss Lively's amended complaint alleges that she suffered substantial losses in earnings, equity, and other economic losses, and significant general actual consequential damages, including lost earnings and other pecuniary loss. She also alleges that her businesses, Blake Brown, Betty Buse, and Betty Buzz, have been damaged. The Wayfair parties document request number 56 seeks all documents and communications relating to Miss Lively's claim for damages. However, Miss Lively has not produced any documents or communications responsive to document request number 56. Although Miss Lively claims that she will eventually produce such documents, the deadline for substantial completion of document discovery has passed. She has not produced any responsive documents and has not confirmed that she will do so. The court should compel Miss Lively to produce all documents and communications concerning any damages she alleges have been incurred by her or her companies. The Wayfair parties document request seeks documents sufficient to show your net worth for the period between January 1st, 2022 and the present, including without limitation financial statements, assets, and liabilities. Ms. Lively's position is that such documents are irrelevant to her damages claim. What? Of course they're relevant. Everything is irrelevant. Text messages with her best friend, Taylor Swift, irrelevant. Medical stuff, irrelevant. Loss of damages? Pfft, no way. Irrelevant. This court has already determined in this case. Yes, they did. Don't forget that, Judge Lyman. I want to see the same energy that you give to the Wayfair people to Miss Lively, okay? We said it over her, okay? This court has already determined in this case that documents sufficient to show net worth are irrelevant to a party's claim for damages arising out of tortious conduct. If the Wayfair party's then existing claim for defamation and resulting damages mandated the disclosure of their net worth documents as this court previously determined, and as the Wayfair parties have since disclosed in compliance with the order, then Miss Lively's net worth is relevant to her defamation claim, her other claims, and the other substantial damages she seeks in connection therewith. Makes sense to me. I mean, hello. And of course, because only a few days ago, she was gloating and saying in one of her motions to compel or a letter to the judge, that she received deficiencies within the video footage that she received, she handed over everything and made the deadline. But now we understand that that's not true. That was a lie. Not shocking. You have the letter to compel. Everything is under seal except for the declaration. But we already read over the letter. So, we can go back and forth on, their emails that they sent and the declaration by Kevin Fritz, but the letter kind of just sums everything up nicely. And then you have the 2 letters that we already went through already. And that was the one where Wayfarer was saying they are totally Gucci with the order from the judge and the dates that he wants to set. They're giving like pretty much like a month extension. And then you have the one from Michael Gottlieb, and he did not agree. I mean, he says that he does agree, but then says accept, and then doesn't agree whatsoever. Then this is just a declaration from Blake Lively's people saying that, they did reach out on June 10th. They asked, about this Mr. Mitchell guy, if he was part of the law firm from the Wayfarer people, if they were part of Freeman, Liner, and Tailman Cooley LLP, and then if they represent him in connection to a third-party discovery. The next day, on June 12th, counsel for the Wayfarer parties at Liner Freeman responded, our firm does not represent Matthew Mitchell. On June 13th, counsel for Ms. Lively filed a motion for alternate service to Mr. Mitchell. On June 18th, the court granted the motion. And on June 23rd, counsel for Ms. Lively filed the requisite proof of service. On July 2nd, counsel for the Wayfarer parties provided responses and objections for Mr. Mitchell, indicating that they, including Liner Freeman, represent Mr. Mitchell. I'm sorry. I don't know, if they became a client after, before. It's a little bit shady, but also, whatever. I don't know. This is kind of strange. On July 10th, counsel for Ms. Lively emailed counsel for the Wayfarer parties urging, please advise if you represent, will represent, or know who does or will represent any of the following: Cynthia Barnes-Slater, Dovla, blah, 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 or Perez Hilton, so that we can save the court the necessary motions for alternate service. The same evening, counsel for the Wayfarer parties at Liner Freeman responded with Mr. Freeman copied, we do not represent these individuals and have no authority to accept service on their behalfs. And then they attached the email where the Liner Freeman law firm does say, nah, we don't represent these people in this case. And Perez Hilton has been very... I know a lot of people now are clipping pieces from him where, the pro Blake people are taking bits from him saying where he says, Brian Freeman is my lawyer too. But he has been very clear to say that he has gotten no information from him and he doesn't represent him in this case when it comes to Blake Lively. I know my own ears. I have heard that at least a dozen times. And we keep it trucking. And then tomorrow at 3:30 p.m., there is going to be a little call-in. I will definitely be on the line, and I will be here straight after to let you know what happens. I do take tons of notes and break it down for y'all, but this is going to be about that order of time. Guys, y'all had July 31st was the deadline. What's going on? Okay, the court is giving you an extra month. Blake Lively wants all the way until September 30th. The judge, of course, he's not going to say no to Miss Blake Lively without hearing her out first. So there's going to be a phone-in conference tomorrow, 3:30. Numbers on your screen if you want to phone in. It is 646-453-4442. And the conference number is there as well, 358-639-322. Please, if you do join the call for your own benefit, do not record the call. Don't go live with it. Don't share it. You can take notes and then speak on it after. And then this is where it gets a little juicy and a little sideways for me and a little, what is going on? How are you able to get away with this? Because not only did Lively dox her own deposition, she was the one who originally filed with the addresses. Nobody would have known where they're supposed to be, where she wants it, when it's going to happen, how it's going to happen, any of the dates. Blake Lively's team filed first. They gave the public all of that information. Okay? Let's just keep it 100. If we're going to keep it straight, let's keep it straight. Okay? A fork's a fork. Yeah? She filed first. And now you have Blake Lively over here, okay, filing a letter motion to seal portion of Miss Lively's motion for a protective order and Exhibit A addressed to Judge Lyman. That's fine, but let's get into exactly what she's asking for now with these depositions and how she doesn't want it to be held at the opposing counsel's law firm, okay? Because it is not right. It's cuckoo bananas. There was a response and a couple of correspondences, and that's what I want to get into because there's a battle going on, guys. It's for real. It's for real. So the Wayfair people came back and responded. Blake's people came back and put in like some email correspondences that we'll get into. And then the judge came back and made a ruling today. I do want to go over the correspondence because as I've read a few emails to y'all before from Blake Lively's team, they are like snippy, rude, playing a bunch of games, gaslighting to the max. But Miss Ellen Garofalo, yeah, she caught that, okay? Catch it. Let's read it. This is absolutely wild that Blake is now claiming privacy concerns. Privacy concerns. That she can't go one block. It's a mile difference. 6 minutes, okay? Difference because of privacy and physical safety concerns. But she had no problem going to the SNL 50. No problem doing her little tour for Another Simple Favor. No problem going to, what was the other? Times 100. No problem going to that cookie place. No problem doing all of this other stuff. But your deposition, girl, ain't nobody care where your deposition is. We care when it is and if we're going to be able to get the minutes from it. Nobody else cares, okay? This is cuckoo bananas. You, Blake Lively, are literally trying to make something out of something that it isn't, okay? It literally ain't nobody care that much about you that they're going to go and like stalk out where your deposition freaking is, okay? But just for funsies, this is what it is, guys. This is what it is. They request that the court seal portions of Miss Lively's motion for a protective order and Exhibit A to that motion, filed contemporaneously here within, in an effort to protect the well-being and physical safety of Miss Lively. Each redacted portion of Miss Lively's motion and Exhibit A reflects or is suggested of the final proposed locations for Miss Lively's deposition, scheduled to be held on July 17, 2025. Given the highly publicized nature of this action, Miss Lively requests that this information be sealed to protect her physical security. But y'all are the one that already told us what was going on, the fight between the place, the addresses, the time of it, all of it. Blake Lively's team gave it to the court days ago, early last week. So it's like, oh, now it's not the Wayfair people that leaked it. Y'all did it yourself. So crazy. We would have never known where it was if Blake Lively's team wouldn't have put it in the court docket. So who's really using who? Okay. The court has previously recognized the uniquely public and media-driven nature of this case. Oh yeah, Judge Lyman has many times. In addition to the traditional media, social media personalities, and internet sleuths pour over the details of every public filing. That's us. Under such circumstances, the public revelation of the final location of Miss Lively's deposition invites not only a media frenzy upon her arrival or departure and otherwise, but also threatens to endanger Miss Lively's physical safety, notwithstanding anticipated security measures. Oh my God, what is going on? As legitimate, girl, you snitched out your own deposition. You want people to be there. None of us cared where it was. You dropped the intel because you want people there, because you think everyone's so obsessed about being around you and taking your picture and adoring you and loving you. Nobody would have cared. We just want to know when it happens. That's it, you know? Any legitimate interest the public may have to the precise location and time for Miss Lively's deposition is extremely limited. Yeah, you should have kept it limited. This is bonkers. Okay, anyway, sealing parts of the party's filings that could potentially jeopardize her physical safety. Under these circumstances, any limited legitimate interest the public may have in this discovery document is heavily outweighed by the countervailing interest in protecting Miss Lively's physical safety. The victim mindset, like the whole, are we playing for reals here? Like, and then after that, there is this Great. This letter of motion, this is a declaration in support for the protective order from another lawyer for Blake Lively. Okay, and it's from Kristen E. Bender. And she just wants to file a little declaration to support Blake Lively. And she says, on June 13th, 2025, I met and conferred with counsel for the Wayfair parties together with other counsel for Miss Lively. During the conferral, counsel for the Wayfair parties insisted that Miss Lively's deposition proceed first. Miss Lively agreed to be the first deponent and offered July 17th for the date of her deposition. Counsel for the Wayfair parties accepted this date. A true and correct copy of correspondence between the counsel for Miss Lively is here in Exhibit A. Okay, let's get into it. So we've already read the email where Lively's own people say that it is precedent, okay? It is a precondition of her sitting down for this deposition that she receives all the film footage first, okay? So this is kind of a continuation of that email chain. So after getting that huge email, the Wayfair people just say like, yeah, we agree. You know, if you want to postpone Miss Lively's deposition, currently scheduled until you get the film footage, that's fine. Let us know. You know, please provide us several dates. And then this is where it gets a little juicy from Blake's people, okay? Then they write back, Kim, we are confused by your email. We are not requesting to postpone Miss Lively's deposition, but instead we're simply looking for your confirmation that the footage would be provided by July 11th, which you have now provided. As to Miss Lively's deposition, we planned for that to go forward on July 17th, and we have made travel plans and schedule arrangements of that understanding, both with respect to this case and other matters. So what, you're going into town for a bunch of stuff, so, you know. We have also made preparations for the deposition to take place at their law firm, including extensive security measures. This approach aligns with whatever. We are available to meet and confer on the location issue as needed, but otherwise are prepared for the issue to be addressed with the court in advance of the confirmation July 17th date. Then I guess they didn't get an answer to that email, and that was sent on Tuesday, July 8th at 11:44 p.m. So they never got an answer at 11:44 p.m. So then on Thursday, July 10th at 9:59 a.m. So that was July 8th. Now on July 10th, they didn't get a response, so they write back to this email. Counsel, following up on my email below, please confirm by 12 p.m. 3 o'clock ET today, whether you intended to go forward with Miss Lively's deposition scheduled on July 17th, and whether you agree to conduct the deposition at our law firms, and to identify all attendees in advance, no later than tomorrow. If we do not hear from you this afternoon, we will promptly raise these issues to the court. This is bananas, because if you ask any lawyer there, you don't get to have a right to know who's going to be there. All of the lawyers can be there. Only one lawyer is allowed to depose you, so they have to pick one lawyer to do the deposition. But any lawyer can be there. Any of the counsel can be there, as well as any of the defendants. So any of the people from the Wayfair team have a right to be there. And Blake, it's not a right. It's not mandatory for her to know who shows up or not. So even for that request, and almost 100% of the time, guys, almost 100% of the time, depositions are at the counsel who's holding the deposition, meaning the Wayfair people, Brian Freeman and his law firm, choose the deposition place. That's almost 100% of the time, okay? So then they write that. So now that is July 10th at 10 a.m. Wait for it. Then at 12 o'clock, so that was at 9:59 a.m. Now strictly at 12, okay, we have, again, Blake Lively's people. Mitra, following up on our call regarding deposition scheduling, as I mentioned, we are prepared and eager to go forward with Ms. Lively's deposition next Thursday, July 17th. We therefore will not mutually agree to reschedule that date. That said, we understand that this is your deposition, and if you choose to move the date, you may do so. That decision, however, must be made and communicated to us no later than 5 p.m. today. Wait for it. This is it. Our team fully intends to go ahead and has already incurred significant expenses to prepare for and travel to for the deposition. If we do not hear from you from 5 p.m. confirming whether or not the deposition will proceed. We will seek sanctions against the Wayfair parties for all costs incurred to further prepare for travel for the depositions, including without limitation associated attorney fees, costs, and travel expenses. We are otherwise available to discuss deposition scheduling for other witnesses. Okay, that was Thursday, July 10th at 12. Then Miss Garofalo, or I don't know how you say her name, from the Wayfair side, okay, she's a partner at the Freeman, Lyman, and Cooley. She responds, okay? She responds at 5:23 p.m., a few hours later, 5 hours later. She writes, "We will proceed with Blake Lively's deposition on July 17th, 2025. We remain convinced that in light of new scheduling order delaying the completion of discovery, it makes sense to continue the deposition until all discovery is complete. That way, we would avoid any argument that Miss Lively could not properly prepare, and most importantly, any objection or instruction not to answer based on the claim that certain documents have not yet been produced, and or these have been insufficient time for plaintiffs' counsel to review the files, particularly the film footage." Exactly. If you're saying that it's a non-negotiable that Miss Lively reviews all of the film footage before the deposition, they're saying like, yo, if you're not going to have enough time to review the film footage, we can, postpone, but we don't want to. But we also don't want your client, Miss Snake Lively, no teeth, coming back and saying, oh, she wasn't ready, she was bullied, she was this, she was unprepared, she didn't get the footage, right? So like, what do you want to do? In this vein, Miss Lively has objected, among other things, that the footage produced lacks sound. We produced the raw footage in compliance with the ESI protocol. However, in order to fully cooperate with discovery, we will agree to provide footage which marries the sound to the images on the condition that you will agree not to argue that in processing this footage to marry the sound and picture, the Wayfair parties have somehow manipulated evidence. Right. So if y'all have been following me and you saw my last video, I said like when you're recording stuff, you have your sound footage and your film footage. She asked for the film footage. That's what they gave. They will happily produce all of the sound footage too, but you need to get an editor. You need to get a sound designer. You need to put that stuff together, okay? We are happy to provide any information on the technical process to avoid any misunderstanding. This is so funny to me because it's like, shouldn't like know how to do that? Isn't she like, wasn't she in the edit room? Like, isn't her husband like, the Deadpool dude? Like, he should know how to marry sound and put sound to film. I mean, even I know how to do that. So like, come on guys, but it's hilarious that they wrote that. Like, hey, if you need any information on the tech side, let us know. Please let me know if you are amenable to this agreement. In any event, since we cannot agree to continue the deposition at Miss Lively's insistence, we will proceed on July 17th. Please feel free to call me if you have any questions or wish to discuss this further. Then the gloves come off. Blake's lawyers write this to Eileen, the Wayfair counsel. If you believe it makes sense to continue the deposition until all discovery is complete, then you should do so. You seem to want us to weigh in on your decision, but we have no obligation to make that assessment for you. It is, after all, your deposition. You decided that Miss Lively must be the first deponent, and you selected this date. And if you decide to move forward, that too will be your choice. And you will be held accountable for your own strategic decision in the event you later decide that it would have been advisable to have scheduled Miss Lively's deposition later in the discovery period. Miss Lively will not sit for deposition a second time based on your strategic miscalculations. This is your deposition, and you have both the right and the obligation to conduct it in a manner that you understand will be consistent with the court's instruction that no witness in this case will be deposed more than once. Given the limited time left before July 17th, we have respectively urged you to discontinue all posturing and gamesmanship around the scheduling on this deposition so that you can address the needs of not just our client, but numerous attorneys whose schedules are in limbo as a result of your numerous requests that we reach a mutual agreement to postpone Miss Lively's deposition. At this point, however, The posturing is continuing because your email below states that you will proceed with Miss Lively's deposition on July 17th, notwithstanding your reservations and your clear preference to move it. You have not agreed to our reasonable request to hold the deposition at our law firm, nor to advise in advance who will be present at the deposition. You have provided no reason for refusing these basic courtesies, so we can only assume that it will be because you intend to make a media show of Lively's deposition in some way, both inside and outside the deposition room. If we don't hear otherwise from you by 12 p.m. tomorrow, July 11th, we will promptly file a motion for a protective order at that time, in which we will ask the court order these clearly warranted parameters to the deposition. Likewise, if you later move the deposition, we will seek sanctions against you and your clients for the cost and fees we have already incurred in preparing for the deposition on the date you have repeatedly affirmed you intend to keep. We continue to not understand why you seem to be unable to simply state honestly and directly that you're requesting that we schedule Miss Lively's deposition date. That's weird that they redacted her name. And to request that we meet and confer on a mutually agreeable date to reschedule. We further do not understand why you refuse to accommodate our completely reasonable security and location request. We remain open to such discussions if you choose to proceed in a reasonable manner. Otherwise, we'll seek relief from the court by noon tomorrow. Dun, dun, dun. And then check out the response. From Aline, which I thought was just chef's kiss, because what's the point of arguing? Get out of here. Do you know how busy these people are? Get out of here. All she wrote back is this: talk about posturing. Talk about posturing, right? You rate that whole thing like, ew. All she wrote back is talk about posturing. And any event, we expect to see Miss Lively at 9 a.m. on July 17th at our law firms for her depositions. And then, of course, Lively went and filed the protective order because, they said, like, if you don't reply back, if you don't remain open and proceed in a reasonable manner, we'll submit a protective order to the court. And literally, Aline just wrote, talk about posturing. Anyway, girls, see you at the deposition. Probably one of my favorite responses by Aline, because it's like one of those things like, when you're just arguing with someone who's like off the rails and you start, arguing too, who's going to look like the one who's off the rails, right? Well, if you thought the protective order was a load of crap because it's 1 mile from each other, Blake Lively is the one who snitched herself out about the deposition in the first place. She's the one that dropped it in the courts. Who's playing the media game? Blake Lively is, as well as she's been out and about every day. Every week this girl is at a Wrexham football thing, doing the cookie thing, at award shows, promoting all of her stuff. Like, girl, ain't nobody worried about where you're going to be at your deposition as long as you sit that butt in the chair and tell the truth, which we all know you're not going to do, because I don't even think you know what the truth is anymore, right? But I thought it was a load of bananas. Everyone thought it was a load of bananas, and so did the Wayfair people, and they came back, and it is obviously Chef's Kiss, written by Kevin Fritz. He's amazing. So basically, they're just like, no. Blake is... She's not... This is cray-cray. Okay? So they're just saying, like, no. The defendants, the Wayfair parties, oppose Blake Lively's motion for a protective order, precluding her deposition at the Manhattan office of the Wayfair Parties Counsel, Mr. Singling in Fing, MSF, as noticed, and directing that it occurs at a location of her choosing. The motion, a masterclass in hyperbole, should be denied. Lively relies solely on inapplicable authority and unsupported accusations about opposing counsel and their motives. Thank you. Lively does not present a single fact to support her allegations of a plot to use deposition as a publicity stunt. Lively is a plaintiff who has hurled serious allegations of misconduct against the Wayfair parties. Like all defendants, the Wayfair parties are entitled to depose Miss Lively to develop evidence crucial to their defense. They are also entitled to choose the location of their deposition, which they did. Period. That should have been the end of it. Lively fails to rebut the presumptions, mere speculations of an ulterior motive, rather than a legitimate need for the plaintiff's deposition is insufficient. In assessing the circumstances, courts apply Rule 26C, a good cause standard, in their analysis, considering cost, convenience, and litigation efficiencies. And what I thought was kind of strange is, like, not strange, which was really good of the Wayfair people, is they put in all of these, all of these courts already. And look here, Lyman, he's already ruled on something like this before in the favor of the defendants, okay, in another case. Right here, his name is there. The party noticing a deposition usually has the right to choose the location. Lyman. The cost factor is neutral because the difference in cost between the parties' choice of locations is negligible. As Lively notes, the location at issue is a mere mile apart. A mile apart, girl. Okay? This factor favors the Wayfair parties. Lively resides in Manhattan, and hence travel will not disrupt her affairs. Litigation efficiency strongly favors the Wayfair parties. The relevant records are voluminous, voluminous. Oh my God, I'm almost there. Over 21,000 documents and 200,000 pages, and the Wayfair Parties Council may well need to access, print, copy, and mark additional documents during the examination. Duh! Like, of course it should be on their home turf. I can't believe they even have to fight this. In other words, the resources necessary to effectively examine Miss Lively are available at MSF, not the location that Lively proposes. Moreover, during breaks, the Wayfair Parties Council will want to confer with co-counsel present in the office, but not in the deposition room. These routine situations are why the noticing party presumptively has the right to choose the location of the deposition, a fact that Lively's counsel does not refute. Lively gives short shrift to the relevant factors. Instead, Lively feigns concern about security. Without a whit of evidence, Lively contends that if the location is not changed, she will be assaulted by hordes of paparazzi, and the Wayfair parties may invite the press or hostile third parties to the deposition. This is not only fiction, it is nonsense. The building has a non-public entrance, and MSS have a private and secure space in which Lively and her counsel can wait and or meet during breaks. If Lively is truly concerned about parading through paparazzi, we trust that the professionals that she has already engaged can ensure her safe entry into the building. Lively is welcome to have her security staff accompany her into our office and secure her exit upon the completion of her examination. Lively avers that the Wayfair parties have not denied or refuted Lively's allegations and are manufacturing a public spectacle by requiring her to attend a deposition at MSF. The Wayfair parties had no obligation to continuously respond to the barrage of emails from Lively's counsel. Thank you. It was nuts. Unilaterally dictating where she will be deposed based upon their contrived allegations of some intent to make a media show of her deposition. It is not the Wayfair party's burden to defend their chosen location. It is Lively's burden to rebut the presumption that the chosen location is proper. Further, the Wayfair parties were not obligated to identify those who would be attending the deposition a week in advance as she demanded. It is ironic that Lively alleges that the Wayfair parties are trying to generate press interests in her deposition, given that she tirelessly ensured that the New York Times widely publicized her allegations and that her representatives provided a self-serving quote to the media about the motion. Although Lively's foot stomping and use of her celebrity status may have enabled her to seize control of the film, which is the crew of this dispute, her counsel's tantrum has no place in this court. Hello? Did you guys read that last sentence? Exactly. All she's been doing is pulling tantrums. Although Lively's foot stomping and use of her celebrity status may have enabled her to seize control of the film, which is the crew of this dispute, her counsel's tantrum has no place in this court. Well, as I said, the Judge Lyman, he came back, to me, it seemed like the Wayfair people put up a pretty good argument and Lively did not. It doesn't make sense, again, why almost 100% of people have it at the office of the people doing the deposition. But just like with Blake Lively, when she talked about the birthing scene, and in the footnote it said, well, most actresses wear what Lively was wearing, then what are you talking about? You're just spitting words then, because if most people do it this way, why not you? Why not you? Queen Lively. The judge came back and this is what he said. And then this is the last one, guys, and then we're going to go over your comments, and it's quick, okay? The motion for a protective order by Blake Lively is granted. Lively will make arrangements for opposing counsel to have a dedicated computer and the ability to print and copy documents in the space chosen by Lively. The Wayfair parties shall notify Lively of the identities of the individuals who will attend the deposition by July 15th. Just like that. No reason why. He didn't go over all of the stuff like he usually does, you know. No. Yep. Give her what she wants. She's crying. Oh my God. White girl tears. Yeah. Oh my God. She must be so scared to go in public, even though she's been in public every day. Every day. What? That is that. The judges come back, of course, granted for Blake Lively. Now, I'm trying to find the silver linings here because what? Why? I just don't understand. Like, she's getting such princess celebrity treatment. She's being completely, like, the stuff that she's been allowed to get away with already, the fake lawsuits, the sham subpoena, going after all of these content creators, even though she went to the New York Times, like, all of this stuff that she's doing, and now she gets this, okay? So it's just wild. But I feel like the silver lining is the Freeman people and the Wayfair people, they're going to be ready. They're going to be so prepared, and they're going to crush the deposition. It doesn't matter where it is. I mean, it sucks that it's not on home turf, like most depositions. However, this time now, I mean, we could look at it like Blake cannot come back now and say, you know, she wasn't safe. She was all of this stuff, right? Oh, well, she didn't know the building. She was feeling kind of weird. She was like not in her element. She was being intimidated, like all of this stuff. She cannot come back with no BS, no excuses, no nothing. So this is definitely a win for Blake Lively, but I'm trying to look at it kind of as like, in hindsight, at the end of the day, this might also be a win for the Wayfair people because there will no longer be any excuses for Blake Lively to hide behind, okay? It's happening. And without any further delay, it's time to get into some of your comments from last week. They're in no particular order. And yeah, just comments that I kind of screenshot throughout the week to, you know, that I thought were kind of interesting. So I love the community here. I love all the engagement and that you guys leave such amazing comments. So thank you so much. Drop them on this video too. We usually go over them on Fridays, but y'all, I just poured my heart out to you on why I wasn't here on Fridays, so please forgive me. But here we are. This is from Hello Farid. When you're the victim, you don't forget a single freaking thing unless it's a medical reason. Example, been drugged or amnesia. Blake is squirming for evidence is a disgrace. I absolutely agree. For her to make it a condition in order to get the film footage before getting deposed, it's like you were there. You should know exactly when it happened. You didn't tell nobody? You don't remember? It lives in your head forever, okay? Even on the days that sometimes it just pops up, and especially when you're fighting it, you're constantly, right? So it's kind of strange. That to me was like a huge scream that she is really trying to right now scramble to figure out exactly what happened on the set because she already knows that she's a liar, pants on fire. Mazdode4145 says, I think Brian has more to worry from her. If he looks her in the eye or gives her a compliment, she will have him for SH. I thought that was kind of funny because I was like, you know, when she brought in the Vin Diesel thing and then she, you know, the court in California is moving the motion to quash the subpoenas for the Wayfair opposing counsel. Yes, Brian Freeman has also been subpoenaed. It's not only content creators. I keep thinking that she's just planting seeds of like, Brian Freeman's such a bad man, you know, he's coming at me. So this just like really gave me a chuckle because it's like, yeah, he has a lot to worry from her. I mean, he better not even look at her in the eyes or else you're going to be another Jamie Heath, you know, who looked her in the eyes while she was pumping. Where else was he supposed to look? I mean, so crazy. Stray Kids Stay 18 says they're already probably going to have half of Hollywood hating them when they get Jed Wallace's celebrity-filled client list, so they should have left Vin Diesel out of this. Hope you heal and feel better soon. Thank you so much. Yeah, I totally agree. I mean, they're just digging themselves, and Blake Ski, she's been doing this for a long, long time, y'all. When I tell you there is a handful of projects and a handful of big stars that she has tried to undermine and take projects from, and like, it keeps blowing my mind. The more I dig into it, the more it's just like absolutely wild. But yeah, for sure. I mean, what are you going to do with Jed's client list, girl? If we hear anything about any, thing like clients or anything more about Jed Wallace, just like be careful of where it's coming from, because I'm pretty sure B613, Blake Lively's dude, is going to be doing a lot of doxing of creators and people, and it's just like, I think it's gonna get even messier before it gets better. Angela Bender 418 says, I don't understand how Jed's client list with absolutely no proof of a smear campaign from Lively is relevant when Marvel's communications regarding Nice Pool is deemed not relevant to Ryan's malice in regards to defamation, when Ryan himself admitted that Nice Pool was based on Justin Baldoni. Can someone please help me make sense of this? No, I can't, because it doesn't make sense. It really doesn't. It doesn't make sense. I mean, I understand getting Jed's client list from maybe the beginning of 2024 until he finished work for November, which was November of 2024. I think November 8th. It was August 8th to November 8th. But getting it like years back, I just don't understand any of it. I don't know myself, like, why it's relevant. I feel like Blake still can't prove nothing. That's why even after, being able to subpoena all of these third parties, is now doing all of the content creators, Jed's client list, like all of these other creators, they have found nothing. And yeah, I can't really explain it. I think there's been a lot of calls in this case that I don't agree with. And New York Times, Leslie Sloan, and Ryan Reynolds being dismissed is the biggest one that I still have a hard time wrapping my head around, because everything that they said was before Blake Lively filed her CRD complaint, and then Judge Lyman said that was based off what was filed in the CRD complaint, so they knew it as being true, but it actually wasn't even filed yet. So I just have so many problems with that entire thing being dismissed. I can't explain it. But thank you so much for your comment, and I'm with you, girl. I'm with you, okay, Angela? At Force Supernatural said, ha ha ha. Sorry. Not to mention Blake's bodyguard with her throughout the entire time, not 3 feet away from her. How come we haven't heard anything from him? Stating that she was harassed. Why wasn't the bodyguard guarding? Girl. Because like Lively and Ryan Reynolds do best extort because they felt unstoppable. Absolutely. I mean, if you look at any of the B-roll or any of the paparazzi or any of the shots from the set of It Ends With Us, Blake's bodyguard was there literally the entire time. So it doesn't add up. It doesn't make sense. And I think that's going to come out definitely in the bathwater, 100%. And last but not least, at That Girl Has No Filter. First, love the name. Okay. Love it. No filter. That's right. Women now, we just let it rip, y'all. That is so right. She was there. It happened to her. If it really happened, it should be replaying in her mind. I have never seen a victim asking to see the most traumatized moment of their life from various angles. Unless... #Khaleesi fantasized about it. Woo! Maybe it was a dream. Maybe, when things like happen to you, and then if you're not like in the right mindset or whatever, or if you're in this victim mindset, or if you're perpetuating like victimhood or anything onto yourself, you will create things that actually didn't happen the way that they happened because you think that these people are out to get you. And that could be the case here too, that she thought things happened way differently than they actually did happen. I don't know. And that's it from me, folks. Thank you so much for being here. Thank you, everyone, for the kind messages on my fall. And yeah, I just really appreciate it. And checking in about the subpoena, and then also just checking in this weekend to see where I was, because I missed Friday, and I mean, thank you so much, everyone. I really, really appreciate all of the messages. I just needed like a timeout. Obviously, I told y'all at the beginning of the video kind of where I was at. And it is just something that I also preach, right? So it would be kind of weird of me to not take my own advice in those moments. And that's exactly what I did. And I felt so much better just stepping away, taking a pause, taking a full day to recharge. And yeah, you just got to do what you got to do. You got to listen to your mind, body, and soul and figure out what it is that you need. And what I needed was to be completely isolated and off the grid and really like just be a freaking human by myself for a bit and recharge and get my footing back here in the city and yeah, wake up and feel amazing, which is what happened today. So thank you so much. I hope you're having a great Monday. I know Mondays can kind of be like, but I hope it isn't for you. I hope the sun is shining and that you are able to have a good day, whatever it is that you're doing. Thank you so much for being here. Drop your comments and I love you so much and I'll talk to you soon. Bye.